Join lifelong Star Wars fans Lauren and Steph as they dive into the world of Star Wars fan fiction, discussing a new fic each month, breaking down the writing style, characters, canon relationship, and more. This is your source for Star Wars fan fiction recommendations. So come on and find out why it's one hell of a fanfic. Hey y'all, I'm Steph and welcome to One Hell of a Fanfic, where we talk about a new Star Wars fanfiction every month. Tonight I'm here with Lauren, as always. Lauren, how are you?
I'm good. I'm kind of glad the holidays are over. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I love the holidays, but I'm really happy that I'm back to normal life. Now I feel like I've transformed. So, how
What
about
have you
you? How are
transformed
you?
into?
I've transformed into a calm person.
Yes, no, exactly that. I'm so glad that the hecticness of, okay, there's something I have to do now and then tomorrow, and then I do not have all my decorations down, at least like the tree is down,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah,
And I
I
feel
can
like the
finally
last
breathe.
time I talked to you, it was like we were just right in the middle of holiday craziness. So that feels like it was forever ago.
You're right. Yeah. Then I had health stuff right in the middle of all that too, and I was, uh,
Ugh, that's a horrible time of year for that to happen. I mean, it's always a horrible time to have health stuff, but especially at the holidays, that's just gotta make it so much more dramatic, I bet.
oh my goodness. And then I picked my daughter up for my mom on Christmas morning, and little did anyone know they all had COVID, all of them.
Oh
It
my
was
gosh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Luckily, so I brought her home with me, and the rest of the household, we didn't get it.
whoa.
It was my daughter's first time having COVID, and, like, she just wanted to sleep, and, when they're teenagers and you just want them to sleep anyway.
Okay.
Uh,
Can't
so
relate, but I see what you mean. Me and
okay.
my 5-year-old cat.
Yes. Okay, so what do we read this month? We read Burning Love by, how do you read AKA The Centimetre. I got that right? I keep wanting to
Yeah.
say akathecentimetre.
Oh, that's funny, but no, I think you're right. That's how I read it at least. Yeah.
It was written back in 2015, and it had a little over 8,000 words, so it was like an hour read. I was worried because I didn't start it till today as usual, and no, it was fine. It was like an hour.
But then it's
Uh,
fresh in the mind.
exactly. If I read it like earlier this month, it would not go well.
It's like, what did we
Uh,
read again?
exactly. Uh, there was no spice level in this. Again, no, it was not a romance. What are we doing here?
I mean, you
Uh,
picked it. That's
not
my
reading
only response.
romances. No regrets. This was fantastic. What would you call this? It was canon. It was not canon. It was alternate nope. What's the word for this?
Alternate universe.
That's the one. That's what it was.
It's definitely weird though, because it's alternate universe, but it does follow a lot of canon in a weird way. So we'll
Yeah, it
explain
doesn't
that more.
change much.
Yeah,
Yep.
it just changes one main thing.
Right. Okay. Your job. The tropes. I give up on them.
Tropes. Yeah, so we have found family, which I mean, found family is always there with Star Wars fics, but the found family is especially strong in this one. It's pretty central to the plot and like what actually happens to the characters is a lot based around them finding family again. So it's especially strong in this one. And then in addition to that, this is a crossover. And I guess I can just go ahead and say what the crossover is. It is a crossover of Lilo and Stitch. Well, Stitch specifically, Lilo's not in it.
Yeah.
Which sounds completely crazy. That's what I thought at first, but this fic actually did surprise me as well. So we'll explain that more in a minute. But I will go ahead and read the author summary. So this part is spoiler free. This is just the summary that the author wrote at the beginning of the fic. And that goes: expecting a Geonosian spy makes finding a six-legged alien with big ears, an overactive mouth, and spit glands, and wearing a truly confusing floral patterned tunic in the middle of a cheerfully noshing on Rex's head interesting, to say the least. So that's just pretty much that's where we start. Is Stitch just randomly shows up and is terrorizing everybody in the way that Stitch does if you've seen the movie. So, why do you think people should read this?
Okay. Because first of all, it is an absolutely adorable and fun crossover. I love crossovers, whether it's in fan fiction or in TV shows. They make me so happy to see two different beloved characters just meshing together in whatever way it happens. Also, it's so heartwarming, and the end is so full of the feels, and it's really there's a lot of fan service going on here.
Yeah. Definitely fan service for Star Wars fans and also Stitch fans as
Yes.
well. But yeah, I agree. Like it was really cute, like in a way that kind of caught me off guard. Like when I first heard the description, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be like funny and crazy and weird." But no, it was actually like way cuter than I thought it would be. There's actually some emotional moments in this, if you can believe that, just based on the fact that it's a Stitch and Star Wars crossover. Like the author actually really told a very compelling story, even given the kind of out there premise of the crossover. So, I mean, I feel like all of that makes it good. And the fact that, I mean, I've just never read anything like this before. So the fact that it was a new thing for me also made it good as well.
Which is a going on trend we have here.
Yeah, I feel like me and Steph have now started playing a game of we're just making each other read stuff that the other one would normally not not choose.
It's gonna be the best. It's not something that I mean, not like, you know what? I don't think Lauren would like this. We're reading it.
Well,
I
no,
don't do that.
it's not intentional. It's not malicious or intentional. It just kind of started off as like, well, this is totally different from anything we've read before. Let's go for it.
Yes.
So, I guess now I'll give my long summary in my own words with spoilers. So, if you don't want spoilers, now's your time to turn back if you're thinking about reading this one. So, here's what happens. So, on Geonosis during the Clone War, Stitch just randomly shows up, like in the middle of the action. He gets on Rex's and Anakin's nerves, like pretty much immediately. They're both kind of like, what is going on? And of course, Ahsoka and Obi-Wan both love him. Well, I wasn't surprised that Ahsoka loved him, but Obi-Wan, I could kind of see him going either way. But that was their reactions to this crazy little blue alien guy. And in this meeting, Stitch doesn't stay for long. He really only stays a few minutes, like just long enough to kind of introduce himself. And then he just kind of runs away after a few minutes of just silly, I don't know, behavior. And then fast forward, and he shows up again when Obi-Wan is on Tatooine. And this is shortly after Order 66. And Stitch just randomly arrives one day and they both remember each other, because Obi-Wan during that initial meeting with Stitch, Obi-Wan felt kind of connected to Stitch in a way. And this is when Stitch finds out that Obi-Wan has lost all of his family. And of course, family is the most important thing to Stitch. That's his main thing. And so he goes off to find the remaining members of Obi-Wan's family. And so that leads him to kidnap Cody and drag him back to Tatooine unconscious. And Obi-Wan is surprised. He doesn't know that Stitch is doing that. And that leads to not Stitch. That leads to Obi-Wan and Cody making up. Kind of Cody explains to Obi-Wan what happened, and it's hard for Obi-Wan to hear, but he comes to understand. And then the three of them are on Tatooine together for a while. And also, Force Ghost Qui-Gon is there, who makes a brief appearance, which we did not see coming. We
No.
weren't even trying to find a Force Ghost Qui-Gon story, but there he was. And then eventually, they all run into Rex and Ahsoka. They find out that they're working for the rebellion together. And it's an emotional reunion with everybody, but unfortunately, Ahsoka and Rex, they still have work to do, so they don't come back to Tatooine, but it kinda sounds like they're all gonna keep in touch going forward until the war is over, and then they're planning to go to Tatooine after that. Then fast forward again a few years, we see Stitch and Leia playing together on Alderaan because Stitch is delivering a message for Obi-Wan, so Stitch is kind of, like, helping Bail Organa and Obi-Wan keep in contact throughout the years, which is kind of cool. And then this is when lots of time passes, and this is when the emotional stuff starts coming. So the clones are growing old and dying, which sucks. I mean, that's just so sad about the clones. So Stitch witnesses that. Stitch also helps the rebellion through Ahsoka. He also terrorizes Vader a little bit, which, Anakin slash Vader still hates him, of course. Um, we do see that Stitch watches Obi-Wan grow old, which is also emotional because Stitch lives like way longer than everybody else. And Stitch is actually there with everybody on the Death Star. So when Luke, Leia, and Han and Obi-Wan are all on the Death Star together, Stitch is there. Stitch is with Luke when Obi-Wan gets killed. And then it's because of Stitch that Luke actually leaves the Death Star and doesn't get killed with Obi-Wan when he's emotional and he's like, Ben, Stitch is actually the one that gets him to leave. So then after that, then Stitch quickly comes to realize that his new family is going to be Luke, Leia, and Han. And then that's the end.
It was so emotional at the end too, and it was so funny, but it made me cry. Like it was
There
like all the tears.
Okay, there was a moment, and I'm not usually like I mean, I'll cry when I read from time to time, but I'm not like a huge crier when I read, but like there was a moment where I was like, "Oh my gosh." Well, for me it was when the clones were dying. I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh man." That was pretty depressing. But then yeah, it ends on a good note because Stitch, even though Stitch has to like outlive all of these people, he still is able to still find a new family going forward, which is cool.
That was a really good description of it all. You got everything in there.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm out of breath. So what what other things should we add on?
So one of the things about this that is different than a lot of other stories is that it doesn't deep dive into all of the little things that are happening. It's not like a full story. It's small little each chapter is a glimpse into an important thing that happens. Like the different meeting of the different people, and each chapter kind of mentions what it's about. Like meeting the resistance or finding the what do they call it? Finding resistance, finding the Jedi, finding families. And the last chapter is finding hope, and I was like, "Oh, this is going to be good," and it was. It was good.
Yeah. I don't know why, but I totally didn't expect it to end with Stitch becoming family with Luke and Leia and Han. I don't know why, I just didn't see it coming. So when that actually happened, I thought that was really sweet.
I don't know where I thought it was going, but yeah, I didn't see him sticking around, but apparently he does.
Yeah. And then maybe he sticks around until Ben and Ray. Who knows?
This was written unlike the last one. It was not second. It was in third. This is third person, right?
Yeah.
We've never read anything in first, right?
Not that oh yeah, no, we have Life Day. What is it called?
The Sith who brought
The
life day.
Imp Yes, yes, yes. It's written from the perspective of the Imperial officer that's doing the research.
Oh, that's true. All right. Well, this one is third. So, how well did the author stick to the canon characters?
I mean, I completely believe that Anakin would have not liked Stitch and that Ahsoka would have wanted to keep him. That I was 100% buying.
Yeah.
And the clones too, actually. I felt like the author captured the clones really well because just kind of like the struggles that they have to go through. I feel like all of that was kind of touched on. Even though we didn't spend a ton of time on the clones, it was still kind of hinted at in places.
The author definitely knew Star Wars. And to be able to mention those like deep dive, that there is like something that most people don't talk about is like those clones' struggles with life and their place in the universe.
Yeah. And their mortality
Yeah.
being very imminent. You don't really hear about that a lot. At least not in canon. I mean, it's touched on in the Clone Wars TV show, but they don't, I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's not explained as much as it is in legends and fanfic. But what do you think? Do you feel like
Mm.
they stuck to canon characters or kind of did their own thing with it?
Well, Obi-Wan, I think they did pretty well with it, especially in the beginning. I could actually hear him in my head as I was reading it.
Mhm.
Vader, I don't know about Vader so much, but Obi-Wan I could definitely believe.
Uh,
Not sure how Vader would have handled a situation. I think you just would have murdered murdered Stitch.
Which that would have really messed up the plot if he
Yeah,
did that.
exactly.
Couldn't really have that.
Right.
Did you think about the ending? Did you find it satisfying or did you kind of I know we both said that we liked the ending, but was there anything else that you would have wanted to see?
I really liked the ending. I think it ended in a good place. It was a good kind of wrap up of the entire because it really was like his journey with Obi-Wan. Because that's where it started. He met Obi-Wan and it's went through all the way to Obi-Wan's death. It was a great place to actually end it. Sure, could there be more? Yes. Absolutely could be more. There's plenty of story that could be told. Where like you said, it could follow all the way to Ben and Ray, which would be a fun thing to see. But I think it ended in a good place and it was like I said earlier, I cried and it was like all of the warm and fuzzies and then like family means everything and I was like, "Oh, I love it so much."
Yeah, and I mean that's like so true to Stitch's character is like it's always all about family the whole way through, which that was stuck to really nicely here. Yeah, I mean, I really liked the ending. I mean, I think you made a really good point about at the core this was about Stitch and Obi-Wan. So once it's time to turn the page and have a new family, then that's when the story with Obi-Wan ends. So it probably does make sense that it ended where it did, even though there's probably a lot of other things that could be done with it if they wanted to.
So what characters do we see?
So we have Stitch, of course, Obi-Wan, Anakin, Ahsoka, Rex and Cody, Qui-Gon Force Ghost, yay. And where did Ki-Adi-Mundi come in?
And that first chapter when they walked up to the ship to and Obi-Wan was going to leave. He was standing there and
Oh,
talked to them for a brief
okay.
second.
Okay, I saw you put his name on here and I was like, where I missed that. Just a
Very
little
small.
quick cameo.
So reactions, thoughts, feelings, what are yours?
Well, okay. This was my original thought was the way that Stitch shows up randomly on Geonosis. There's no backstory. There's no explanation. We don't know where he came from or why. He's just there all of a sudden, just being himself. It reminded me of how I got my cat
Oh,
because I was like, this is literally like cat people know this. This is how cats show up. Like they
yeah,
just
yeah, they have a name
appear.
for that.
What's
It's
the
the
name?
cat distribution system. If you're
Oh,
deserving of it, a cat will just randomly show up for you.
that is so cute. Yeah, that's what I mean, they just show up and you're like, "This person is here. I don't know anything about what happened to them before this. I'm probably never gonna know. They can't tell me. They're just here now." Like,
Yeah. How did you get your cat?
oh, he literally just showed up one day on the back patio. He was just there and, started feeding him. He wasn't neutered, so I took him to get neutered, and then he just never left. And then, I mean, at first I thought he was, like, feral, but then I was able to socialize him and then but, I mean, he has a whole life that I don't know anything about, from before me, so who knows?
Oh.
That little crazy guy.
So my thoughts. I love that this was not a fix it fic. The author actually mentions it in the notes for the last chapter, how everyone thought it was going to be, but they were apologizing that it was not going to be. And I love that. You know how like in Rogue One where everyone dies at the end, but it's a really satisfying, fantastic movie. Like that, this is not fixing everything. It sticks to mostly canon. And then we get but these little like changes. And I find that actually more satisfying than them fixing all the little things with Stitch involved.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, I mean, the way that it went, it's I feel like if it was just everything was fixed, I don't think the story would have had as much impact as it had. I think if everything was fixed, then it would have been like, oh, this is a silly little cute story where Stitch is part of Star Wars and everything's better. But the fact that Stitch is part of Star Wars and Star Wars still happens the way that it happens, it just gives the story more impact for me.
It's more believable, that's for sure.
Yeah. It's yeah, and those emotional moments hit a lot harder because of that.
So, what is your favorite scene?
I think mine would probably be Stitch and Leia, just because I just felt like their dynamic was really cute and the way that, like, Stitch is referencing things that Leia has no idea what he's talking about, like his whole Elvis thing, his Hawaiian flower shirt, like all of that is just like obviously from a different universe. Leia doesn't understand any of it, but she's still playing with him anyway and they're having a good time. I just thought that was really sweet.
I really liked um, probably the last chapter the absolute most. The first one or the last one. The last one, though, I really enjoyed how Stitch spends the entirety of this fic calling people stupid head, which I believe comes from the movie. Um,
I'm pretty sure. I need to honestly, this fic did make me realize I need to rewatch that movie, but I do think Stupid Head is from the movie.
yeah, I also have not watched that since I was a kid, so uh, it's been a while. Now I'll have to introduce my kids to it. So he's just rude to certain people, and it's just so funny. But I love how he refers to Han Solo as Idiot Solo, and his little nicknames for everybody is cute. And I like how the last chapter is really written from his perspective, where most of the entire fic seemed to be more just storytelling.
Mhm.
This one was written from, especially towards the end of that chapter, written from his perspective. So you get a lot of words that are not spelled correctly, and you could see things from a just a different point of view, just slightly different point of view. Oh, and I really liked his the evolution of his nickname for Leia, because it kind of gives a slight amount of backstory where he had brought Leia when she was like 15 or something like that, a lay for the lay girl. And then by the end, he's calling her the girl with the lay, is just his name for Leia. And it's very cute. And then, oh, and then when she's like, "You're real?" Had no idea. Like she didn't just dream this up when, over the couple of times that she had met him through his life.
Yeah, like a very distant childhood memory that you're like, "I'm pretty sure this happened, but I'm not 100% sure."
Right. Right. It's an imaginary friend that just like just showed back up again.
Yeah, that was really cute, and I liked the nicknames, um, and yeah, it's like his nicknames for people becoming more specific over time rather than
Yeah.
just Stupid Head. Okay, I do have a question for you. Do you have any theories on how Stitch finds Cody? Because it feels like he just shows up one day and then just grabs Cody and just brings him with him.
Yeah, I thought about that. Um, no, I don't have any theories, though they do say that he's got excellent tracking in his ship, but also, I guess, I don't know. There was years between when he found Obi-Wan on Tatooine and then going to find Cody. In each of these chapters, there was years between them. So
Uh,
maybe it just took him time.
Oh, you just led me to another question. How did he find Obi-Wan on Tatooine? How did he find any of these people?
No idea. I mean, like they keep saying he's a dog. Like maybe he's got a good sniffer, like a dog does.
Uh,
And
I mean, man, that's really good to be able to track somebody across space.
right, I have no idea, but I like
Yeah,
it.
there is a line where Obi-Wan is like, he does say something about, I didn't know the tracker on your ship was that good, or he says something to that effect.
Right.
But it I don't know, it's crazy to think about a ship tracking a person. So I wonder if there's more to it than that that we just didn't get let in on. So,
Right. And there seemed to be quite a bit of that in here, and you just have to, what do they call it, suspend belief for a little while.
yeah,
Just
you
like
just
it
have to
all
go
works
with
out.
it. It's Stitch and Star Wars. Just go with it.
Yes. But it fits so well.
Yeah. I mean, it was super well, and it's also, I mean, it's very true to Stitch's character that he wants the family to be together. So I don't know how he found these people, but if Stitch was in Star Wars, he probably would set out to find them.
Okay, so do you think that the Stitch Lilo Stitch universe and the Star Wars universe could actually be in the same universe, like canon wise? Do you want them to be? Because I
So
mean, they're all
the
Disney.
yeah, okay, they are Disney. The species of Stitch, I will say that that species, it did kind of just I mean, because obviously this is Star Wars, so random UFO aliens, that's like there is a line in the beginning of this that's like Anakin wasn't alarmed by a UFO, like there's other things going on right now. And it's like it's so true because it's Star Wars. Like an alien craft that you don't recognize, that's not gonna be super out of the ordinary. There's like tons of alien species and people are probably coming across new ones all the time that they've never met before. So that part of like Stitch's species just showing up one day and everybody just kind of being like, well, I guess this is just this weird guy. That part made sense to me because it's just another alien.
Right.
The part where that gets a little complicated is with the Elvis stuff. That's where I
Yes.
think it gets a little trickier.
Because that would imply that our universe would be mixed in with the same one. Well, I mean, like if you think about it, in a galaxy far, far away, like I mean, well, I guess it's a long time ago and far away, but that does imply that it is in the same universe as ours.
Yeah,
It's just the galaxy is far away.
I think that's just harder for me to wrap my head around. I think that's harder for my brain to like force it to make it work.
All right, fine.
What did
So
you think though? Are you in the on the side that they could blend if you wanted them to?
absolutely, I am willing to believe anything if it's adorable.
Okay, that is hard to disagree with. I'm always looking for cute little alien guys, so
Oh, me too. Just peeking out my windows at night. Any
okay,
cute
I mean
aliens out
in
there?
Star Wars. Not Oh my gosh. I mean, I guess in real life is fine too, but
And those people just call us crazy.
yeah. Well, anyone listening, okay, this is a Star Wars fanfic podcast. Of course, we're crazy
Just a little
in
bit.
in the best way possible.
If they've made it this far into the podcast, they're probably just as crazy as we are.
Yeah,
Sorry, listeners. Welcome to the club.
yeah. Did you have any other questions for me?
Nah, that was it.
Okay. Well, then should we talk about what we're reading next month?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I do have to credit you for this, Steph, because you found this one and put it on our to be read list. And I saw it on there and I was like, this looks so fun. And I chose it. So Steph found it, but I decided we had to read it for next month. But we are reading Noise Complaint by deniigiq. I hope I said that correctly. Apologies if I didn't.
You did better than I would have.
I thought about it beforehand. But yeah, so basically what that fic is Cody gets injured, and in this process they find out that Cody has been really causing a lot of drama for the HR department and with trying to get his benefits straightened out and stuff like that. So the clone references in this fic, it did have me in the mood for more clone stuff. So that's part of the reason I chose it. And also the HR aspect sounds very relatable and ridiculous at the same time.
Yes. Yeah, the description of that one. I read a little bit of it too, and I was like, this is gonna be fantastic.
Okay, sweet. Well, just as a reminder, y'all, we are on Instagram, which is one hell of a fanfic with a period in between every word. So on our Instagram, that's where we post when we have a new episode coming out, what we're going to be reading, all of that. So if you want to stay up to date, check us out on Instagram. And then also, if you like to watch video while you listen, we do post our recordings on YouTube as well. So if you want to see us talking, if you want to see our weird facial expressions and all of that, then we are on YouTube, and our YouTube channel is just called One Hell of a Fanfic.
Yep. Or if you want to see how we accidentally matched colors today.
Yeah, we both are wearing green. I was saying earlier it's St. Patrick's Day.
That's what it is.
It's definitely not St. Patrick's Day.
No. All right.
All
Well,
right.
Thanks everyone for listening.
Bye, y'all. Thanks so much for joining us at One Hell of a Fanfic. On this podcast, we discuss Star Wars fan fiction, but we do not own the rights to Star Wars or any of the written works we cover. We have no affiliation with Lucasfilm or the fanfic authors we credit for their work. For questions, please email us at onehellofafanfic@gmail.com.